The other thing, of course, that's going on here is that there are political storms brewing in this country. This week, the committee investigating the January 6th Capitol attack postponed its public hearing scheduled for Wednesday. But on Thursday, Ginny Thomas, a right-wing activist and the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, testified before the committee behind closed doors for more than 4 hours. She was asked to meet with the committee about her multiple conversations with White House aides, Trump allies, and state Republican election officials in support of overturning the 2020 election results. The committee has been also given new video of Trump ally Roger Stone. In the days surrounding the 2020 election, Stone is heard advocating for violence and sharing his plan to overturn the election results.
The election will not be normal. Oh, these are the California results? Sorry, we're not accepting them. We're challenging them in court. If the electors show up at the Electoral College, armed guards will throw them out. I'm the president. You. I'm challenging all of it, and the judges we're going to are judges I appointed.
So, Ryan, clearly you're at the table for this entire section. I want to start with Ginny Thomas, because Benny Thompson has said that she told the committee, we know very few details of what she told the committee, but he made clear that she still believes the 2020 election was stolen. What more do we know about what she said, and what's the significance of the fact that she's even still saying that?
Yeah, I know. I think that this is one of those cases where the DOJ and the congressional investigation sort of depart in some ways, because there's not enough evidence right now for you to really run a criminal investigation necessarily against Ginny Thomas. And I would say, if they were going to go that route, if they were going to, potentially pursue something along those lines, if you're going after the wife of a Supreme Court justice, you're going to want to dot your I's, cross your T's, double check your math, so on and so forth, before you would go down that line. I think that this is, because of her position, is really why she's come into focus by the committee here. She has the ear of one of the Supreme Court justices. What were they talking about? What they've claimed is that there's sort of a wall in their relationship, that they don't talk about any of these things. But I don't know. That's going to have to be for folks to decide whether or not a husband and wife can absolutely bar anything, these ongoing major things that they're talking about completely. But this doesn't really get into the realm of criminality necessarily. I think that it's certainly damaging politically and doesn't, look great, certainly for a Supreme Court justice's wife to be involved in all of these efforts to overturn an ongoing election. But, it doesn't rise quite to the level of criminality yet, which is why it's something you see the committee pursuing more aggressively at this moment than you see DOJ.
One of the things, and doesn't look great is one way to put this, Eugene.
Yeah.
That doesn't look great. There are other people who say Roger Stone sitting on a couch saying maybe we just get violent to steal the 2020 election. Maybe that doesn't look great either. Your thoughts?
I mean, the thing I think that's so interesting about Ginny Thomas is that she kind of goes against all the stereotypes that a lot of us in D.C. have of who would believe that the election was stolen, people that would kind of be like, yes, do what happened on January 6th. This is someone who we would say is well-educated, someone who has the most connections that you could possibly have, right? Texting the chief of staff at the time, husband is a Supreme Court justice. And so I think them bringing her in is a reminder to everyone that, no, the thought that someone can believe these lies and these conspiracy theories, it goes beyond socioeconomic status or education. It's something that's deeper. And and you look at Roger Stone as another example, this isn't leaving the Republican Party anytime soon when these types of folks who have all of this power and this influence are also believing and pushing these.
I think that makes a really good point, because so many people in DC, I think Republicans just don't actually believe this stuff, right? And there's this mix of people, but Ginny Thomas is someone who actually believes this stuff, right? She's on those Facebook boards. She's reading that nonsense online. She actually dyed in the wool believes this stuff, as opposed to a lot of Republicans who are just saying this because this is what they need to do to play to their base.
And Ryan, I'll ask you, you also had a scoop this week on the Oath Keepers trial, because there's so much January 6th stuff going on. Tell us about your scoop and tell us about how all of this is somewhat connected.
Yeah, so there's this woman named Kelly Sorrell, and she is the general counsel for the Oath Keepers. She's only recently been charged within the past month, in fact, in connection with January 6th. Faces 4 different charges. Was on the grounds of the Capitol that day with the head of the Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes. What's also interesting about Kelly Sorrell is that she's actually was involved in the Lawyers for Trump during the 2020 election, and she was in Detroit working for the Trump campaign during that time, and she developed contacts within the White House. And so, I've been talking to her for a while, and we scooped this week. I ended up calling up Andrew Giuliani, and it turned out that yes, they were in communication right after the 2020 election. So that's pretty close connection in terms of the overlap between this legal effort, so-called quote-unquote legal effort to overturn the election, versus this actual violent overthrow of the election. She's sort of that grip that puts those two things together. We're going to find out a lot more in this upcoming trial over the next 5 weeks about those connections between the Oath Keepers and the White House.
And Yasmin, how's the president trying to just navigate all of this? He clearly wants the DOJ to remain independent, but this is obviously part of all the midterms. It's what everyone's talking about. Threats to democracy in polls or voters are saying that that's a key concern of theirs. What are you hearing?
I mean, I think he's very careful to not get anywhere near the DOJ piece of it, the investigation. He's made very clear it's an independent agency. But you have seen him use the January 6 hearings in his messaging, and you saw him really ramp up his rhetoric about the threats he believes Republicans pose to democracy, pointing to some of the evidence revealed in the January 6 hearings. I don't think he can ignore it. Yeah. And I know from talking to people in the White House that he started to feel in the spring it would just be irresponsible if he didn't address this, if he didn't address this extremist wing of the Republican Party that now he believes has really become the mainstream of the Republican Party, or at least taken it over. Donald Trump is still the leader of the party. He still very much has a hold on it. And this election-denying January 6 mentality is part of the mainstream Republican Party right now.
And Eugene, what do we know about the next January 6 committee hearing? Benny Thompson says there's not going to be any witnesses, but that there's going to be significant information. It's not going to be next week, he says. What else do we know?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that they've said is it's going to be overarching. It's not going to be as specific as some of these other hearings that we've seen. But that's kind of it. You know, they are very good at keeping things secret, which is really annoying to all of us when we're trying to do our jobs. But I think, they're running out of time for this last hearing. They're running against the wall, which is the midterms and the possible flip from the House. Republicans are not going to investigate January 6th in the same way. And so they have to put a bow on this in some way. And when you talk to folks behind that committee, they say that is something they're going to end up doing. This is kind of their last-ditch effort in that.
The closer they get to the midterm elections, the more political this effort looks.
Right.
What was most effective was when they had the witnesses. They had Republicans who were in the room or Trump aides who were in the room testifying. That was pretty effective. Not having them there is a harder trick.
And Ryan, last question to you, which is, there's obviously all this back and forth with the classified docs. That is still moving through. What's the latest there?
Sure. Actually, just tonight, DOJ has asked the appeals court to expedite their appeal of this because the Trump-appointed judge, Eileen Cannon, has really sort of given everything that Trump has wanted and then more in terms of of how this investigation is handled. Even though Donald Trump asked for the special master, she gave him the special master. Donald Trump said, hey, I'd like these two people to be special, one of these two people to be special master. She gave it to him. Then when that special master actually tried to do his job and tries to hold Donald Trump's feet to the fire potentially, when he's making all of these out-of-court statements about, FBI planning evidence at his at Mar-a-Lago potentially, and all the judge asked to do was say, okay, is this list accurate? The judge who was in charge, the judge shut down the special master on that thing. So I think DOJ doesn't like the way this is going, wants to expedite the court, because before essentially the appeals court, which included two Trump-appointed judges, sort of smacked down what that ruling said. So I think that they're going to go back and say, hey, let's speed this up, because I think they're going to get a good ruling from the appeals court there again. So DOJ really wants to put the pedal to the metal and get that, I think, overturned more broadly soon.
And a quick question in 10 seconds. Is this backfiring? Is the special master backfiring on Trump?
Yes, absolutely. If the special master is allowed to do their job, it will backfire on Trump.
Okay. Well, Ryan, with that quick answer, it was so nice to have you all around the table. I'm so happy to be here with all of our friends and all of our guests. So thank you all for coming here.